And now with this it begins. In medias res, perhaps the greatest game of its genre and one of the best ever made. Final Fantasy VII. A completely groundbreaking title. And of course, knowing that it begins with in medias res, that means straight to action. Oh damn, miss. And right at the beginning, a little fight with a big, impressive three-dimensional display of action. And I'm doing this mostly because there's a remake of this coming up in a few months, so that is why I intend to do it. And with dialogue. And another character is introduced. Mr. T-looking and very angry man called Barrett. And he's possibly the only black guy in the whole game. Not the whole series, but the whole game. And of course, when the Squaresoft then it was Squaresoft, had done already 6 Final Fantasy titles when this game came out. So they had lots of experience of doing them, and once they moved to PlayStation 1 era, they were able to do it even more impressively. And of course, knowing that how well they were already familiar with the technology, or let's say the genre, not necessarily the technology. They made 3 Final Fantasy games to PlayStation 1, and they just became more and more impressive technically. But this is just magnificent. But of course, they were able to use much more orchestrated music instead of just MIDI samples, and which of course means that the composer master Nobuo Uematsu was able to do a lot very impressive work. I do still remember that this 22-year-old game, I still remember the sense of awe when I played this first time, and I still feel it. So briefly saying, this is a masterpiece of a game design, but not necessarily by the gameplay style, but the storytelling wise and visuals. This is an awesome game. But then again, this genre is not particularly friendly about really innovative gameplays. You can tweak them, improve them, but true innovations are really risky in this genre. And of course, when they translated it to PlayStation 4 from 3 generations earlier, they did make the polygons a bit more refined. Or let's say the polygon models a bit more refined, but they did nothing about the sheer clunky boxiness of them. Which is, of course, they later went to use just one kind of polygonal model in their games. And there's random encounters as well. And even though Final Fantasy games had been following all many kinds of themes in their storytelling, this was the first one they really went towards the adult themes of about there's pollution, there's about business ethics, terrorism. Well, this game begins with act of terrorism, and you are perpetrating an act of terrorism. And of course, It's a matter of antagonists. This game has a lot of them, and they are mostly, some of them are a bit funny, but mostly they are, in a sense, understandable in their motives. And more fighting. Did they actually add the number of enemy encounters you're gonna get? But and they also, when they translated, did add some fancy trickeries like triple speeding the gameplay, like that. But that's just a, it's a slight convenience. But they removed the very perhaps the more important thing about completely customizable controls. You can't change buttons, which is quite feels a bit of sloppy. And that spinny thing is a save point, so try to use it. There are also in-game tutorials, and I did play it a bit earlier just to get myself some feel about how this game works, but generally nothing else. More fighting. So it's also time to use the magic, bolt magic. And many things, mechanics they had already implemented in their games. Squaresoft now made it. They made it regular and in a sense codified them. Desperation attacks, called limit breaks. Of course, there's victory poses, victory musics, battle musics. So several things which were stable and are still here. And look at this landscape. They just managed to make. They were able to make big rooms in this game. Absolutely huge stages. Where you say places. Gameplay-wise, the locations may be quite small, but they were able to make big set pieces. Not necessarily big sets you can walk around, gameplay sense, but they were able to make a big sets, and of course, with they had 3D models, they were able to make them look far or close. And now it's time we made a bomb. Time bomb. And a boss fight against a Robo-Scorpion, which, unlike some other Robo-Scorpions, these do not drain your intelligence and do not have but it does have laser stinger, and it's a very squishy boss because it's the first boss, so it has to be squishy. Putting up bullets to it. And generally it's very simple, you just keep attacking it until it keels over and dies. You can use bolt magic, which this thing is weak to. And of course, it always does that. Well, it does vary boom with targets, but it just uses the same Infinity Beam combo, which means it tells who is about to attack, and then it attacks with a machine gun or a tail smacks. Now it's using machine gun. And the limit break. They always take priority, and they usually do a lot of effect. Oops. Oh, yep, it's good. I have to use a healing item. It wasn't so necessary, but I still did use it. And I'm still gonna keep pissing it off, just because. That attack looks much more scarier than it is. bolt beam and a big shot, and I think this will take it down. Being a first boss, it means it's squishy. Yes, it went down with dramatically, and of course when they die they fade away, mostly. All kinds of nice goodies gotten. So time to get moving. And there are timed events as well in this game, which usually may mean that when time runs out you die, or not always. Sometimes it just means whatever you try to do was failed and you have to try it again or something like that. There isn't many, and their time limit is usually quite... It's either very lenient in those cases where the risk of death is true, or it is strict but you can try it again. And there's a back attack as well. You may get attacked from different directions. And enemies are, at the beginning of the game, very squishy. And this is still the very actiony part of the intro. Yeah, using more... Another magic. Those things weren't particularly weak against magic. I just used it. Mostly because I don't need to be sparing about with it. Looks like the Mrs. Lady has gotten some pickle, so it's time to check it. Oh shit! They added a lot of. I don't know. Did they tweak these to be much more numerous, or what? That's a lot of damage. But then again, getting this kind of back attack thing gives you a damage boost. At least for a while. There usually isn't this many encounters at the right beginning. But it doesn't matter because they're just weak as hell. And it fits the idea that once the alarms are blaring and all that kind of thing is happening, there's security guards are coming up. And of course, they did mention the Shinra, which is a big company. And you would say it's the primary antagonist of the entire game. Although, as in the company, it is made of people, and not like this. And it's made of people, and people are various. They are very evil and ruthless people. And there's also somebody who are not as evil or ruthless, or someone who might even be benign or even benevolent, at least in some cases. And mostly there's also appearance that there's just people doing their jobs, which are not usually the not most pleasant things to be stuck doing. But it doesn't matter. And besides, it's not even known that it was that completely lethal force. And about the general character designs, you can clearly see that Cloud carries this huge web sword, which actually has been made in real life. And it weighs something like 20 kilos or something, with very fancy light materials. So it's not so much of a weapon, it's more like a log of wood, log of metal you smash into someone. And people we are leaving. Oh, she got stuck with flashy things and massive explosion. And that music fade went a bit wrong. Well, successful strike. And nice looking explosion. Yeah, they also, even though that's a quite simple animation of looping, it looks very good in this context. They had lots of different kind of trickery they use to make this game look absolutely gorgeous and stunning. Even though it still looks beautiful, mostly because of this art style of painted drawn backgrounds and polygonal characters. Although the polygonal characters, even when the game came out, looked very blocky. And of course there's the fact that they also use two kinds of different type of characters for the field, which is this and battlescape. And in battle they have much more, in a sense, realistic forms. And this is the big important meaning of this game. So let's just try to be friendly. Flower sales girl. And knowing that she appeared in the intro, she will be important to this. But despite there being characters being simplistic, they did make it so that there can be quite lots of them in a screen at the same time, which makes this place feel much more populated. So let's have a chat with this guy. That's grand title, and Mako is some sort of geothermal energy, which in a sense might not be, well, it has complications in this. So time to pick a fight with these soldier dudes. Do some resisting arrest. And these dudes, you could say that they are just characters doing their work, personnel doing their work, and most likely so you could assume that despite that weapon being huge, there was quite much non-lethal force used. Hopefully. But there's quite lots of them. Yeah. So time to... Oops, I decided I wanted to pick a fight again. And this is so-called attack from both sides, meaning you cannot escape from this fight. Which is, in a sense, very bad case for you, but practically it's just, well, at this phase of the game it's just one and the same. And knowing that somebody can weigh that about 20 kilo piece of metal with that kind of ease means that Cloud is a super strong person. So that soldier organization he belongs to creates super soldiers. But this game has very complex themes and characterizations in this. It's one of those games which really told me that video gaming showed that video gaming can be a serious form of storytelling. And now, after the brutal action part, it has toned down to much more slower and calm pace of narration, with some dialogue to make some characters. And Mr. Barrett seems to be permanently angry about everything. And a big stunt to get inside. With macho commentary. And there's no swearing written. That's a quite small organization, but then again, terrorist cells do not need big organizations. That's just 5 five people, and one of them is hired hands. So, or was it five or four? 4 person, 5 with one of them being hired hand. And this is, and despite the graphics being in a sense blocky, they still manage, they do can tell make characters very style appearing visually. There's even a guy, some sort of weird hobos living in a train. And that's real fast news reporting, so let's just chat. And yeah, he's angry, he's full of energy. He appears quite happy. And there's the train conductor, which most likely, well, that Shinra Corporation is fucking huge. It can be said that he probably works for it too as well. Now this is just exposition about what kind of city Midgard is. And they have a checkpoint system. So let's just keep going. And as this is the very slower pace, they can build, make more characterization to character. Yeah, that would make things bad. And of course, if there were to be something causing pollution. Almost poetic that you can only run to wherever your path allows you to go. Well, Midgard is a bloody huge city. The exact population would most likely be in millions, as much as they could say. And it feels very... Well, this is very, you could say, modern or postmodern fantasy with quite high technology, like trains and computers and all that. So they really went to their science fiction fantasy or dark fantasy in this, or whatever called postmodern fantasy in this game, instead of just classical fantasy. Although they went towards less fantastic all the time, but it's a bit of cyclical thing. Some of Final Fantasies are more science fiction-y than the others. And this is one of the heavier ones in science fiction style. Oh, yeah. 4-person terrorist cell. And let's have a chat with the conductor. Yeah, he's got all kinds of sad things, and this dude... And the train graveyard. So more conductors. He's got a shitty job. And there's a save point, but no need to use it. I'll chat with this guy. Yeah, that's bad. Yeah, that's big structure. What was it, about 50 meters above the ground? That's big structure. And he's quite weird. Yeah, I'm going already. What's it? Texas cowboy thing? They are the makers of this game have a bit of bizarre sense, but then again, it in a sense feels like the Final Fantasy games would be something that Japanese people making Western stories about Western landscapes without not so great understanding about how they work, but it doesn't matter. What is it? Seventh Heaven Bar. Very small business. So let's try to be nice. And Tifa Lockhart is perhaps one of the most renowned sex symbols of video gaming. Quite tall, long legs and big tits. Or big nice rack, however you want to call it. And also, where you could say also the fact that of compassionate and empathic personality in addition to the physical assets. Which is not bad at all, in a sense. But in a contrasting sense, there's also the fact that she's very physical. She's brawler, as much as you can in this gameplay say. She's brawler. Giving a bit of contrast in what you would expect for somebody of compassionate and gentle personality. There are many in a sense contrasting things about compassionate and gentle being also a physical brawler, and also of course, well, what was I saying? Compassionate and gentle, you would assume that the character is healer. Not in this case. She's much more a brawler. And of course, when the appearance was, you would expect that somebody of gentle and compassionate would dress modestly, but in this case, not so much. And some more plot. Barrett has lots of energy, which he has to vent out. Yeah. So it's time to do some macho bullshitting. All for himself, and there was even a secret elevator with a pinball machine. In a sense, hilarious yet also hilarious yet also weird. And this simple theme of music is now going is the so-called theme of Tifa. That's her music. Oh yeah. Just try to be nice. Now he did. Yeah, both of these characters are from the same city. And they made some dynamic lighting to this scene as well. And seeing that the age of these characters is something that 7 years ago they were not you could say a hormone adult, but they certainly were noticing about masculinity, femininity and all that manliness. Flashback. And Sephiroth will be very important in this game. It is a spoiler, yes, but I don't think I can spoil anything about game being about game being 22 years old. Except that, well, this is a good game. Gameplay-wise, completely functional. Story-wise, very satisfying, and by its presentation of graphics and sound, it is great. Even with its clunkiness age, it still has great set pieces and setting. Yeah, that's some sort of damsel in distress fantasy. This game was made in era shooting star when that kind of things were allowed. Girls could allow to wish to be damsel in distress and be rescued by a knight. In a sense, that's very sad. That's the salary. And it's time to sleep. With nice and cheerful boasty music. And for some reason this game feels most comfortable to play with the D-pad, even though they did make analog stick completely work well with this. Well, let's just put a double Nintendo Ray. Yep. Chat with the Barrett. And I thought, but I think I'm gonna do the explanation, but I'm gonna skip it out mostly because it's quite a dull tutorial part which has nothing to do with this gameplay. And that was skipped. It was obviously that was went through. It was quite dull, knowing that even when the game came out it was quite dull, although quite handy. So let's just go and check out the stores around here. Yes, these slums have some ugly doors. Yeah, a customer, yes. So what is he saying? He has some materia which allow you to use magic and handy things. So yeah, bought some of those. Generally the difficulty in this game is not too particularly great. It is not bad. It has difficult parts in a sense that if you don't know what you're doing you'll be fucked. But otherwise you could say that the difficulty level is quite lenient. And there's a jumping We get materia. No. And the treasure chest just fell off. And so let's have a chat with this personality. Yeah, more tutorial about the gameplay. Yeah, it looks like quite nice. It's quite nice looking thing. And those were also in this game. And these guys, well, I was wrong. There are more black, we would say black folks in this game. And with these guys, you can learn about all kinds of things about the game, advanced gameplay styles, but it doesn't matter, so it's time to just save and continue next time. This is gonna be a very long and impressive game. So, and this was just the first episode of it, so I'll see you next time. This is gonna be great. See ya.